So let's take a look at this next one right here. We have a cone. Now a cone is different than a cylinder, and there's a relationship between the cylinder and the cone, and I want to show you what that looks like. So let's go ahead. I want everybody to draw them a cylinder real quick here at the bottom. So we're going to say we have a cylinder. Alright, and a cylinder is going to be equal to 3 cones, providing they have the same height and the base on the cone is the same, has the same circumference, or the same diameter as the base of the cylinder. Now, we did a demonstration in class where we looked at rice, and we filled up 3 cones that were the same size, height, and they had the same base as the cylinder. And we found that if we took them and we added them together, it took 3 cones to fill up 1 cylinder that was the same height. And what that tells you is that this, we could look at this in fractional values. We could say that this cylinder is equal to 1. It's 1 cylinder. And 1, if it's written as a fraction, would be 3 over 3. Right? So 3 over 3 would be equal to 1 if we put that in our calculator. So that means that since it takes 3 of these to fill up 1 cylinder, that each one of these cylinders is 1/3. And the reason I say that it's 1/3 is because if we do some math, right, we go back to where you were dealing with adding rational numbers. Let's do some 6th grade math. We have 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 is equal to 3/3, which equals 1. With that being said, our formula for the cone is going to be very similar to this formula for the cylinder. Notice the formula for the cylinder was V equals B times H. Big B was just pi r squared, and H is your height. So on this one, because this is only 1/3 of a cylinder, our formula is going to be the same, except for we have to add 1/3 in there. So let me show you. Notice over here it says formula V equals big B times H. So when we do that to this one right here, our formula is going to be V is equal to 1/3 big B times H. Now I'm going to do this one a little bit different than I did the other, just to make it stand out. So remember that big B was equal still to pi r squared. That's how we found big B. And then height was just the distance from the top and bottom. So let's face it, this one, notice it has a 10 right here. So, and it shows a line that goes all the way down the middle. So that's my height. Notice that down here, this line, it only goes halfway across. So that's my radius is equal to 4. So we're going to use those numbers real quick. So let's see, let's go ahead and start substituting some of these numbers. So I'm going to say for my height, we had a 10. And then for my base, the R is going to be 4. So let's go ahead and we're going to do some math here. So I'm going to go ahead and write my whole formula out since I know my numbers. So I'm going to say V is equal to 1/3 times big B times H. So that's equal to 1/3. My big B is going to be pi r squared. Notice I'm going to put this all in parentheses. So I'm going to go ahead and put in there pi, and then instead of an R, we're going to put another parenthesis. We're going to put the 4 squared, and that's just pi r squared. And then I'm going to put my H. So let's put my H right here. And my H, we said it was, I'm going to change the color on it, 10. So notice we have all of our numbers in here. We have 1/3, right? There's a 1/3. We brought it down 1/3. And then we have big B, which is pi r squared. And then we have the height, which is 10. So 1/3 times pi r squared times the height. And if you're wondering, why do we use pi r squared? Well, because the base of this cone, right, is a circle. If I were to draw this out, it says we have a radius of 4. What we have, if we were looking at it at the bottom, we'd see that this right here, this radius that we see going across, is just 4. On this base over here, right, if I were to draw this into a circle, this base right here was 6. So the radius of that base was 6. So let's go ahead and let's do the math, put it in a calculator, see what we get. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in. It's going to look a little bit different. I'm going to put it in parentheses 1. Now this one won't let me put a fraction bar, this older calculator. So what I do is put in parentheses just 1 divided by 3. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my pi times 4 caret 2, which means squared, pi r squared, and then times 10. And it gives me 167.55, and if I round that, it's going to be 167.6. And notice this is centimeters, so we got to do centimeters cubed. And that's my volume.